So you know how PW's a thing, right? Yeah, it's been a thing for quite some time now, and it's safe to say that I would think it's one of the most popular mods for Mount and Blade Warband, if not the most popular multiplayer mod at least. And there's been many things that have tried to take off its success. There's been different sub-mods for Persistent World. Persistent Frontier probably being the most successful one, but even now that has died. There was things like the Roman one that was planned a while ago that was dropped. I think I made a video on that. The Lord of the Rings one, I think there was one called Feudal World as well, which died pretty quickly. They've never really had captured the same success as Persistent World, and no one really knows why. My prediction is that it's just what everyone knows. It's simple, it's easy to use, and what's not broken you don't need to improve on. But there's something coming that I think is one of a kind for these submods, because it's not taken away from Persistent World at all. It's only adding things to it. And the reason that I think this is going to be so successful is because it's being made by the admins of EU Phoenix, who is probably the most popular server on Persistent World at the moment. It's what all the clans are playing most of the time anyway. So the fact that they're moving to a different mod means that I think a lot of people are going to move with it. And before you shout and scream and say, why, we can't move to another mod. Well, in today's video, I'm going to be telling you a bit about this mod, and I've been talking to the developers a bit, and it looks like they've got a good plan of how to go. So basically what they want is to keep Persistent World as it is. They love the mod as it is, but all they're doing is adding up like quality of life improvements and things like that, new armors and weapons, scene props and all that good stuff. Nothing massively overhauling, but just adding to the already successful mod. So of course there's a lot of new armor and weapon that is going to be in this. On their website it says they've got 55 plus new body pieces added, 40 plus new helmets added, 8 new gloves, 40 new boots, 2 new horses and 25 new weapons added. Each of these will all have their own individual stats and skills that will have to be balanced. Yes, balancing will take quite a lot of time, but I've got faith in these guys that I know they can do it. But like I was saying, their intention is not to completely change the original version, but to simply just improve it, giving it a bit of a fresh spark, because I think it's safe to say that because Persistent World's been out for so long, it's starting to drop off a little bit. It's probably one of the longest running Mount and Blade mods, but even now it's starting to drop off. So they're trying to bring a fresh spark back into it and try and reignite the Mount and Blade multiplayer warband community. Of course, the new scene props, like I mentioned earlier, there'll be new teleport doors and they've been added so people can teleport through different places. And you can also, which is a bit of pain in the normal Persistent World, is you couldn't use horses in these teleport doors. Now you can, so you can teleport on horses, which is nice if you want to move from one place to another. And of course, 55 plus new scene props, 2 new walls and tower types, skeletons, different ores, ooh, that sounds nice, wooden palisades and other small and bigger props. So they're adding in all this sort of things, and there's smaller things like arrow and bolt holders, new civilian and war carts added, and new trees and bushes and things like that that are going to be added into the mod. Now, this mod is very much looking forward to the quality of life improvements to make your gameplay easier. It's trying to make people come into the mod not really getting a completely different experience to what they had in Persistent World, but getting an easier experience to what they had in Persistent World. All the issues that were in that mod are being improved upon or changed in this based on the community, because this is made by one of the biggest communities in Persistent World, hence why they're trying to find what you guys like and then make it from that. Now, you can poll yourself Lord of the Faction if it's empty, which is a nice thing. That is also, which I find quite interesting, is that it's a faction chat added for the Outlaws, which was never a thing in Persistent World, and there was probably a good reason for it. So it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to work in this, getting loads of outlaws together to join up with each other and go on raiding parties. That's going to be interesting to see. It's going to add a bit of a new dynamic to it, and actually I think it's going to entice people more to join the outlaws, because outlaws was something that you only did if you had like a small group of friends and you wanted to just mess about as outlaws. But maybe this adds a whole new outlaw type faction. So you're going to be able to do things as this outlaw faction, and it's going to entice more people to join it now as well. There's things like different animations, like the castle flag capture animations being changed, basic labels have been changed, and I guess they've just been like sort of less intrusive. I'm not 100% sure, or maybe they're just easier to read. Faction members now receive messages when getting keys, announcers, and getting kicked outlaws from the faction. And there's things like fast inventory transfer, which, my god, this is something that needed to be in the mod so bad, and I'm so glad that they're adding it into this. You're able to right click and you're able to just fast transfer things from your inventory instead of having to click and then drag it over and then click again. I mean, it was fine when you were just doing things like surfing, but when you're in a war and you were trying to loot a body, my word, you just get killed because it would take so long to transfer armor from one person to another or weapons from one person to another. Now you can just right click and go bam, 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 and you've got all the armor there. So that is a nice quality of life improvement. Now, apparently it says there's an easy show pouch system. I'm not 100% sure what that means. Maybe it's just a simpler button and easy to access a button, because that's something that needs to be done quickly, otherwise people count down and they'll kill you if you don't show your pouch in the right amount of time. And there's also a button where you can show your pouch to nearby players around you, so not just one individual person that you've targeted, because that was always a bit of a hassle, having to target one person, pressing F12, targeting them, and it would take a screenshot. It was really bloody annoying. And then you'd have to go into your menu and you have to show pouch to that specific person, and they don't get it. But by that time, they'd probably killed you anyway, so this is a nice easier pouch system. Maybe there's something else here, because it just say easy show pouch system. Not 100% sure what that means. Now, there's a few other quality of life improvements. I'm not going to talk about them all in this video, since it'll be a very, very long video, so there'll be a link in the description to the website if you want to go and check it out, and the mod DP page as well. Now, graphics, yeah, they're being slightly improved. Obviously nothing massive, there's only so much you can do in the mod, and especially a mod like Persistent World or Persistent Kingdoms, as we're looking at here. It's not the most optimized mod. Mount and Blade wasn't made to be this open world, so it's not the most optimized mod for any system by far. So graphical improvements will probably have to be somewhat limited. So 50 plus new banners are added, which is nice. We'll have the new customization and things like that. 20 plus new skyboxes, that's interesting. I'm excited to see what kind of stuff they've added in there. Of course, it's probably just going to be different types of clouds and things, so maybe nothing too massive, but who knows. There's new terrain borders that have been added to improve the immersion and make maps feel much larger. I guess this means that you don't just like look out and it's just blurry background, like blurry hills and things like it does in Persistent World. Maybe there's some artwork or something in the background that makes it just feel like the map goes on and extended, and existing textures have been replaced and improved to the overall look of the game. So it won't look completely different, but just imagine it's something like installing a normal graphics mod for Mount and Blade. There'll be probably some new textures and maybe a few new shades and things like that, but it's not going to be anything massive, especially since that kind of does kill the engine and of course reduce optimization a lot, so they're going to have to watch out for that. Now, there's things like new roleplay aspects, which, you know, is interesting, because there was one thing here that I saw which, my god, I can't wait until this mod comes out. Of course, there's now a music system that's been added, so you can play the lutes, the lyres and the horns and things that you see in the game. Yes, you can not only buy them like you could in Persistent World, but you can now actually play them. How cool is that? There's some new animations and things, like for 6 of the helmets, you can actually open and close the visor, which is nice. That's cool. That's a cool addition. There's also a dog model. Yes, there's a dog. When I'm not 100% sure how this is going to work. I'm going to have to talk to the developers more about this dog model. Could you buy a dog and have it attack with you? I don't even know. Or maybe there's just dogs that you can hunt and kill. Who knows? And 2 sitting animations, of course, so you can actually sit on chairs, or you can just sit down in the middle of nowhere if you're feeling a bit, you know, feel like it. So there's some cool roleplay aspects as well, and a walking animation. So everything will look a bit more flowing, a bit more natural to the game. They are really improving everything here, but this is mostly stuff on the player's side. But what happens to the servers and admins? Because these guys are server owners, because this is where they started in the Persistent World community, and now they've decided to make their own mod. So there's a lot of things to help you if you're a server owner or you're an admin. So there's different scene slots. Now you can have up to 30, when previously in Persistent World you can only have 14 scene slots on a server. And your spectator can now be enabled or disabled through server configuration. Admins are now able to restock with admin scalpels. Now that is very helpful. If you need to do events and things, you can restock. Or maybe if it's just like the end of the day and you're resetting the server, then you need to do things like that. Server owners can now set a percentage of money dropped by commoners and faction members in the server configuration. Admins can now join any faction through the admin menu. 48 new castle names have been added. Private message system can now be enabled or disabled through server configuration. Random gear spawning in chests can now be enabled or disabled, and mute all players option can be added in the administration menu, which is nice. There's just a lot of different things that you can add as the admins and doing as you're serving, in case you wanted to start some stuff off on your own. So that's all good stuff. Now there's a whole log system that's been implemented. I'm not going to go through that because it's just, you know, log stuff. So there's bug fixes as well. There's a few bug fixes from Persistent World and some different things like miscellaneous. So when you start, of course, in a server, everyone's at war with each other. All the factions are at war. That's now been removed. Default wars have been gone. Default spawn gear has been removed. Arrows and bolts are now craftable, so you can craft these things. which is nice. So advanced arrows and bolts have a smaller quivers as well, which is a good thing because I always thought it was a bit weird how you could craft all the weapons but not arrows and bolts. I don't know why they weren't able to do that, but apparently now they are. Now, for you guys that really hate Persistent World and get bullied in it, which is pretty much everyone, they've now added in a commit suicide option. So don't worry for you guys, that is still there. Now, the poll cooldown has been introduced after the poll succeeds. There's confirmation required when drawing commoners in the death screen, and there's a mute instruments option just in case the loot player starts playing some Black Sabbath and it gets on your nerves. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's kind of impressive if I'm going to be completely honest. And although so many people have tried and failed to make sub-mods from Mount & Blade Persistent World, this is not a sub-mod, this is its own mod. This is going to replace Persistent World. And I think it's for the best. They're not removing anything, because a lot of the other mods, they remove stuff, and then it took ages for clans and stuff to move across where they didn't like it and stuff. So once they removed things, that wasn't a great thing, but these guys aren't removing anything. They're just adding additional things and making things easier for the players. Why I think this is going to be so successful. And my god, if you're the biggest server on a mod and you move over to a different mod, it's quite likely that you're going to get people moving over with you. So I thought I'd just make this video on telling you a bit about this mod. Now, there'll be links in the description to ModDB and the website, of course. Thank you to William for notifying me about this mod, and I hope to see a lot more soon. I'll be trying to get some gameplay of it up sometime soon. They'll be doing some testing phases and things pretty soon. But finally, when is this mod going to be released? Well, they're hoping to do the first half of May, so in probably like a week or 2 weeks or so. So don't you guys worry, this mod will be out very, very soon. It's not like it's going to be waiting for a while for it actually to be released. We're going to get our hands on this mod pretty soon, and I can't wait to make some videos on it. I started this channel on Persistent World, and I'm hoping to go back into it. I haven't really played it since, of course, it's Persistent World, and it gets a bit boring, but this could give a new fresh breath of life into the mod. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like on it. If you want to, support me on Patreon, and of course, join my Discord for all the banter that we have. Sort of. But nonetheless, thank you for watching, and until then, I will see you in the next one.